Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Continuing on our spooky October theme here, we're going to check out the SG Tribute Raven today. Just like the Les Paul Tribute that we did a review on a couple of days ago, this is a Guitar Center Musician's Friend exclusive. It's part of their whole Halloween celebration that they do every year. So essentially, if you missed that episode, there's been some cool models in the past, like the Blood Moons, the Dark Knights, the Bats in Flight. There's a bunch of fun stuff. But this one is a little bit more affordable for people that are on a bit of a budget because they are tributes, which is a grade of guitar that's, like slightly below like a Les Paul Studio. But in the terms of the SG, it's kind of like around the quality of like an SG Special, but just slightly below that. But that does not mean they're inferior guitars. It just means generally they have satin finishes. But let's go ahead and check this one out, because I think this is the best one out of the Raven run. If you were disappointed by the Les Paul, oh yeah, check this thing out. I like it better already. So, what's great about the SG Tribute Raven is the fact that not so many specs have been changed on this one as compared to a regular one. Now, I can already feel this is a neck-heavy beast, which is a little bit unfortunate, but kind of to be expected on many of SGs. So, let's compare this to a regular SG Tribute real quick. Normal SG Tributes today, they look like this. You can get them in a vintage cherry stain or a natural walnut color. And they were $10.99 before the price increases. Now they're $11.99. They had a maple rounded neck profile with a rosewood fretboard that already had the dot inlays. But SGs normally don't have a maple top, so it's just straight up mahogany body with the uncovered 490R, 490T pickups with a multiply pickguard. So now we switch over to the SG Tribute Raven. What's changed here? Not much. We still have uncovered black pickups. We just have a new finish, blacked out hardware. I mean, that's not that big of a deal, but you'll notice the pickguard's actually significantly different. This is not a multiply pickguard, it's just single ply, and that really works well with this whole blacked out theme. Now, despite the spec sheet saying this is a slim neck, it's definitely got some chunkiness to it. And also, despite this supposed to have a mahogany neck, that wood grain looks like it might be maple to me. We'll have to take a look at the workbench. But the spec sheets do indeed call this a mahogany neck, so that would be something that'd be a little bit different between those guys, if it were in fact true. And then we just have the same ones as the Les Paul version with the white decals on the top. And of course, we also have the Richlite fretboard on here with the dot inlays. So for $100 cheaper, you get some kind of cool, quirky specs, but it didn't change too much about the guitar. And in that aspect, I think this thing looks really cool. It reminds me of the SG-CM. That was a really cool guitar with the FRX system. Like, you could just put one of those on here. That would help with the neck diviness, that's for sure. And SGs just pull off the black finish better, in my opinion. They're really cool guitars. So these things come in a gig bag, one of Gibson's soft shell cases, and at $10.99, they seem very competitive with the other SG Tributes. But we get our regular checklist here, baby photo, got just a truss rod tool, just like that last one. We don't get the Gibson multi-tool. This isn't high enough of a USA guitar yet. Polish cloth, which is nice. It seems like, I didn't point this out last time, Gibson, those little black ones can sometimes stain your guitars, so it seems like they might have actually gotten a higher quality, nicer polish cloth than these things. And of course, our regular warranty paperwork and all that. So, now I'm curious, what type of neck do we actually have on this thing? Let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs, and then get to a tone sample. Well, I was right. So you take the pickguard off, and there you can see that maple neck right there. So my best guess is somebody at Guitar Center just copied and pasted both of these listings as the same specs and didn't mean to. They didn't realize this one still had the maple neck. So at the time of recording, their specs are incorrect. And just like the Les Paul Raven, as we saw last time, it is the ceramic 496R and 500T pickup set. That means both of the Ravens have the exact same pickups in here, so they're going to be pretty hot. But before we grab our readings, once again, these pickup cavity routes, they just
they don't look very clean. And I think it's just the black splattered paint is throwing me off. I mean, sure, there are some frayed edges that could have been cleaned up, but you can definitely tell the quality of wood that they use for these slightly cheaper Gibsons, it's definitely not quite the same lumber as they use on their higher end guitars. Or who knows, maybe they just finish them better, use better machines. I don't know. But that's definitely maple right here. This the short neck tenon into there. And I've never seen this before on an SG. Now granted, it's been a while since I've taken off a 68 style batwing pickguard SG. But normally they just, I mean, the whole reason this is here is so you can route wires through it. But I like that. They've got that little channel going through there that makes it so much easier to install these pickguards because it's a pain in the butt. Fenders are especially bad about that. Getting the pickguards back on, making sure all the wires are lined up and not over here, making the pickguard bow and then eventually crack. But ES stands for Ebony Stain. And we've got SG Tribute, and then it kind of gets hard to read, but I think it's a G20. But if you wanted to add a third humbucker in here, you couldn't based on this routing. Nobody's going to stop you from cutting out that little piece of wood and putting it in if you really want to, though. It'll all get covered over by the pickguard. So once again, this pickguard is just black. There's not multi-layers to it, which I think looks quite nice on this all blacked out guitar. I want to leave this on, though, because that little gold circle really breaks up the monotony of the all black. But obviously, if you don't like that, you can take the protective covering off. The one thing I'm not a big fan of batwing guard style SGs for, though, is the way that these things work. If you ever have to work on them, you have to take the posts out in order to remove the pickguard, so that messes with your setup. But it's just your regular lightweight tailpiece here, Advanced Plating Incorporated branded. This bridge also has those Allen key adjustments that you can use to raise and lower it. You don't have to use the thumb wheels. But I've noticed on both of these, the G-string saddle, I don't think it's cut well enough. Because whenever I would stretch my strings in, I would hear a geeky, 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 geeky. It's catching on something. So I just used my little lubricator pinpointer pen right here that Stu Mac sent me once. I don't care if you use that. Just use some sort of a lubricant. Even if it's just some graphite from a pencil, that'll be better than none. So I think that might just be something to do with the batch of those that they were making. But once you do that, I haven't been having any issues. But strangely enough, the Les Paul was a lightweight aluminum tailpiece. This one's full weight. Maybe they did that to help cut down on neck dive for the SGs. But over here, we have a toggle switch, regular 3-way, neck, bridge, middle, 2 volumes, 2 tones, output jack on the front. Within the circuits, I get 14.47 k ohms on the bridge, neck position, 8.44 k ohms, and our beautiful middle position at 5.33. Now we'll move around the edges. It's got the regular contours of an SG. It's got a little ledge right here. It's not just a complete block like the 70s SG1 series or the SG100, depending on which year. But it's just a ebony stain, nothing super fancy. You can feel the wood grain, but for SGs, I always have dug this look. It's a pretty slick looking guitar. But moving on from that mahogany body, we have the maple neck, with the rich light fretboard, and once again, those kind of transparent grayish dot inlays on this thing. That's 22 medium jumbo frets with a 12-inch radius on this one. And as far as our scale length, 24 3/4, with a first fret neck width of 1.69 inches, 2.08 by the 12th, 0.89 at the first, and 1 at the 12th. Here it is at the first fret and the 12th fret. It stays very consistent. You know, a little bit rounded here and definitely gets flatter towards the 12th, but that's a pretty standard SG neck. But definitely is not one of those wide, thin ones. That's not my favorite SG neck profile, so I'm actually kind of happy this has a little bit more to it. But sadly, that maple neck, I can already tell this thing's gonna be neck divey. So being advertised as a slim neck profile, nah. This is the regular rounded one. Now keep in mind, guys, this might be a fluke. Maybe this just got the regular SG Tribute neck on it, whereas all the other ones won't be. So I guess just take a look at yours before you buy it, I guess. But this one is maple and has that slightly bigger neck profile. Moving on to the face of the headstock, we get the crown in a white silk screen, as well as a white Gibson logo. That's what our truss rod looks like, and the cover itself is just black. Now we've got it all strung back up, I noticed something. Remember on the Les Paul, we had the green reflecting within the bridge? This one has a dark purple color. That's kind of cool. I wonder if the company does that so they can tell the difference between like the full weighted ones and the light weighted. It's just a nice little touch. I love it because you see it while you're actually playing. This is that Les Paul showing you that green. I've never noticed the coloring before on these, so I don't know if that's special for these guitars or if it's just something I've never noticed before. But now let's go ahead and flip it over to the back side here. Once again, just like the other one, we've got a PCB system in here, so it's all quick connect. So if you would rather have different pickups, pretty easy just to swap them out. And if they don't have the white connectors, just snip them off of here, hardwire them to whatever pickups you do want to put in here. But this cavity looks pretty similar to everything else we've seen. Not perfect, but good enough to get us going. And on the rest of the back, yep, very similar to the top. You can feel all that wood grain. It's an ebony stain with our regular contours, and you also have the large strap buttons on these ones in your regular SG locations. But since this guy has the maple neck, what makes it so different compared to that Les Paul is the fact that maple doesn't have as deep of wood grain pores. It's very smooth feeling. So this is just complete slick and slide smooth. You don't really feel the wood grain necessarily. Not as much as this anyways. Like, I hope you guys can actually even see the difference on this. That's just how smooth this maple is. So that means technically you could find one of these that has a highly figured maple neck. It'd be hard to tell, but it is slightly transparent in some areas. And that means this headstock won't have any rough bits. Like, I see a small one right there, but I think that's mainly just a paint buildup. So in many ways, this SG was created better than the Les Paul. And now on this one, since it's the maple, I can kind of feel what happened. So it is impressed, but when they impressed the numbers into it, everything else around it kind of raised up just a hair. So it's both impressed and proud. This one dates to 2021, 223rd day of the year. Initial batch, 378th in production for that particular day. This one weighs a comfy 6 pounds, 14 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. All right, so the moment of truth. Is this thing neck heavy? Oh yeah. Kind of to be expected when you put a maple neck on an SG. Generally, maple is heavier than mahogany, but it depends on the mahogany. There are some really dense mahoganies out there. Now, if you move your strap button up here, will it help? Maybe. You just kind of have to experiment with that or get a really thick, wide strap. I mean, it's not so bad. Like, you can just support the neck or like really just have it up like this and it'll be okay, but it definitely wants to dive. At least this example does. So for this one, I left the pickup heights stock from the factory just the way they were. I didn't lower them like I did on the Les Paul, just to kind of give you an idea between the two sounds. You can check out that video if you want to hear what it sounds like lower. Now, obviously, the maple neck and some things are going to be different here, being pickguard mounted versus having a ring. Some guys say it sounds different. So let's just get into it. Use some basic simple chords to give you an idea, starting with our neck pickup. Like that middle position on this one. say, once again, I am impressed with the clean tones despite not normally loving these style of pickups. I'm not sure what it'll sound like in the recording, that's just in the room. Now that we know about the Guitar Center exclusive SG Raven, what are my final thoughts on this thing? I've truly thought when I bought these things, I was going to prefer the SG because I think cosmetically, a stripped down bare SG that's all black looks like this. It is cosmetically superior, I'll give it. But the neck dive supporting this neck, it kind of hurt my back. I mean, it didn't seem that bad, but extended periods of time, you definitely notice it. So another way to get around neck dive is just attach a small weight to the bottom side of the guitar. I know there's some guys that actually make a custom back plate that weighs more in order to weigh the guitar down, or they just put something in here that's like a small weight in order to do that. So there's ways around it. If you love the way that this thing looks and you don't like neck dive, there are ways to cure that, but a lot of SGs are just like that. So ultimately, I think I preferred playing the Les Paul version. That's my own personal preference. But I think this definitely plays their whole Raven theme better because it's just a really sweet looking SG. Kind of like the Les Paul Raven though, it's missing that one feature that makes it ultra special. However, the fact that this has the maple neck almost kind of gives it that one little quirk that not every SG has. So this one, it almost gets a pass, I think, in that aspect. So if nothing else, I mean, there's guitar centers all over the country. I'm sure they're gonna have one or two of these in every single store. Maybe try one out. You might be surprised how much you like a really stripped down, bare bones model by Gibson. I thought the pickups sounded very good. I run my stuff through a Fender Deluxe Reverb. I mean, you might have a lot more fun on a higher gain amp and whatnot. I mean, that's what these pickups are really meant for. So, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed our little Halloween special here of these two reviews and demos. If you missed the first one, you can check that out right here. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. As always, if you're interested in being the next owner of one of these demo guitars, you can check them out on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. There's some links in the description.